Okay. You don't have to twist my arm and talk about tiling.
I know.
I'm just fascinated by it.
I'm just setting you up.
I know you are. I know you are. It's good. So, Eric, give us a little backstory on your history with tiling.
Okay. So we got started tiling probably, I think Dad bought his first tile plow in like 2007. It was a tractor mounted tile plow. We had intentions of just doing our own. Because we'd had 2 fields done commercially already. There weren't many commercial tilers in the area. They were coming out of Minnesota to do our work, and he thought it was something we could do ourselves, and it was. And so he had bought that, and when I was home, I would help in the fall. We'd put in tile, but it came to a point where there's not much tile infrastructure in South Dakota, so it takes either ditch work or large mains to get that water off the fields. And we were finding that tractor plows weren't getting it done. We were hooking 2 and 3 tractors and dozers together. We had pulled a 1-inch cable in half and had just decided we've got to change something or we're going to break something or hurt somebody. And so in 2010, I moved back to the farm and bought a commercial tile plow and started our tiling business there. You think South Dakota, it always droughts out. It's a plain state. It's dry, but what we struggle with is snow melt and cold soil temperatures in the spring. And what we found are the primary benefit from tile, in my opinion, in South Dakota, is earlier planting date. The soils warm up quicker. We can get in them and not do damage with tillage or planting.
How does tile warm soil up?
The water in the soil is harder or takes more GDUs, if you will, energy to raise that temperature versus a proper soil, which would be 25% water, 25% air, 50% soil.
Oversaturated soil warms slower.
Yes. Warms slower.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay. Tile novice or novice?
Novice.
Newbie?
Yeah. Newbie, whatever.
Newbie?
Either one.
Okay, I'm a tile
Yeah.
newbie.
And so we've been doing that commercially since 2010 and have seen just significant returns. $1,000 to $1,200 acre systems paying back in 2 to 3 years, depending on the crop.
Wow.
It takes the right year, but there's 40 to 50 bushel potentially on corn and 10 to 20 on soybeans, depending on the year. For us, we've probably seen the biggest benefit on soybeans because we plant our soybeans first. And so being able to go out there early and get across those fields, not having to go around areas. April planted soybeans are great, and then allows the soil to warm up more for a warm season grass, which is corn.
Yep.
And so that's really been.
I love that. Warm season grass,
corn.
Because that's what it is.
It is, yeah. So and in South Dakota, it's something that it's taken off, and we're just going to continue to see more. Land prices continue to go up, and so people are looking at how do we get more return on the acres we have, rather than adding more acres. And honestly, I think we talk about all the agronomic benefits, but for a lot of people, there's also a lifestyle benefit. We don't have the stress in the spring of planters getting stuck or unclogging row units, that sort of thing, or the headaches in the fall of mudding through a cornfield or bean field trying to take your crop out. You can feel confident that if I take this Friday night off to go watch my son's football game or something, if we get rain over the weekend, I'm still going to be in the field first thing Monday morning doing that. So there's a lot of peace of mind in operationally that, hey, I can get my operations done in a timely manner regardless of what Mother Nature throws at us. And I think South Dakota, much like Kansas, is a highly variable weather state.
Very variable.
Well, that was one thing that I thought about too, was, gosh, you go another 2 hours west then go south, that's Ord. I mean, pretty much.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's some years that I think why tile hasn't really took off in my area is because on those years you wouldn't see a return. Now this year you would have. I would guarantee it, just because of the amount of rain. So like on those drier years per se, what are some agronomic benefits possibly in those situations if you would see any?
On a drier year, you said?
On a drier year.
Yeah, it's planting date. I mean, so this year is the first time our tile lines have run in probably 3 years. We've been in a real dry spell.
Okay.
And so there hasn't been an in-season benefit. You know, you don't get the satisfaction of looking at an outlet and seeing the water run off the field and say, man, I really did the right thing here.
Yeah.
But, you know, you don't know what the spring's going to bring for that planting date. So the planting date is where that tile it pays for itself.
Well, if you have 2 really wet weeks in May and you're able to get that water off, you might be able to get back in that 3rd week of May instead of it being June 1st or June 15th, you know. I could see that possibility. It doesn't matter what the rest of the summer looks like.
Right.
Honestly, it's just what's going on that month.
Yeah, and I do want to stress that, you know, we're not talking about draining cattail sloughs here. You know, South Dakota is the prairie pothole region. We've got a lot of wildlife and that around, and you know, we respect those wetland determinations and such. But there's a lot of fields here that lay flat and are wetland free after a redetermination. And you know, to be able to out and tile those end to end really makes a farm out of them.
Yep.
And you also don't have to have just flat ground. I mean, there's a lot of farms with slope. They don't need pattern tile because a lot of the water runs off in big rains. It'll run to the low areas. Maybe it's just the low areas we need to address, and or side hill seeps.
Yep.
You know, those areas that you always got stuck. You could drive through the bottom and you get stuck 2/3 of the way to the top of the hill.
Yep.
You know, a single tile line above that will take care of those issues. So it really just depends on the lay of the land and what the owner's objections are.
Have you seen much soil type changing the cost per acre at all when it comes to tile?
Soil types, not as much.
Okay.
More topography in this part of the world.
Okay.
The one thing, it can move with soil types, but we do have alkali spots in South Dakota. You know, where you drive by, there's nothing but kochia growing, and the soil's white with salts.
Yep.
You know, those areas, depending on how fast the owner wants to clean them up, we can get down to 20-foot spacings, which significantly increases the cost per acre. But those may only be 1, 2, 3 acre spots in a field.
Gotcha.
You know, we're not doing grid tile on a whole field at 20-foot spacing. But you know, we do see a lot of 60-foot spacings, and those trouble areas are either split at 20 or 30.
Okay.
So.
And then also with that, we were talking about flushing out mag.
Yeah.
Okay. Why should I have tile to make that happen?
Without tile, that mag is going to move lower in the profile on a wet year. You know, sulfur will free it up. But on a later in that wet year, when the plants start to use things, that water is going to evaporate off the top of the soil and bring all that mag back up with it. So if we don't have a tile in the ground or a tube in the ground to take that mag off the field, we're just going to continually move it from low to high in the soil profile.
Yep.
We've got to have a way to have that mag exit the field, or salts, whatever it is, sodium.
A legit flush.
You're, you're overbalance, or you're over whatever is excess in your soil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so over what you
Would
just
say
said there.
Mag is the number one thing people are trying to flush, mag and salt.
Could be, yeah. I mean, yeah, of the nutrients, that's what it is, mag and sodium.
Yeah.
Unintentionally, we see a lot of nitrate go out.
Yep, 100%. It's going to happen.
You know, so guys that are putting fall anhydrous on or something like that, or over applying and leaving high amounts of nitrate in the field, you know, we can also see all those dollars go out the stream if not managed properly. So keeping an eye on your nitrogen applications is a big deal. And
Well,
one,
just
because it's
testing the water that's coming out every once in a while. You don't have to do it every week,
right.
But just what is?
A couple tests, yeah.
Yeah, the nitrates are there. But what you're not seeing with a tile system is you're not seeing the phosphorus, potassium, and a lot of the chemicals. That stuff is in the soil, being tied up by organic matter, going through a cycle there. The way that moves off a field is if your soil's saturated and you get a 2-inch rain and water's leaving the field across a surface ditch or whatever, that's where you see chemical and P&K move off your acres.
Yep.
So tile does limit that significantly, with the downfall being nitrate.
I mean, if you really want to go down the rabbit hole, okay, if you're having a plus 40 bushel gain, if it's making 40 more bushels, how much more root exudation is happening inside of that soil? The more root exudation, the more carbon. The more carbon you have, the less chance for flushing.
Right.
So I mean, that's a little bit longer path, but still, it tells you you're getting more carbon into that system, which is going to help reduce the amount of quote unquote flushing of those other nutrients there.
Right. Well, and if you look at the nitrogen cycle, we lose a high part of that to denitrification going up to the atmosphere.
Yep.
And so if we're not saturated, we cut that denitrification in half.
Yep. Yes. 100%.
You'd rather it go down in your profile than up in the sky.
My dollars for sure.
Yeah.
You do what you want, Josh.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. Okay. We're out of time already on
I ain't
part
surprised.
1. Yeah, no, I'm not surprised at all. I figured that would be easy. So we're going to cut part 2. You want to talk more business.
We can talk about soybeans first. It's okay.
I would say, and 100 bushel beans. Or 110, or maybe a little better. See.
Good beans.
Good beans. Like freaking killer.
Yep.
So anyway, that'll be part 2. Eric, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And see you on the next one.
We'll be there.
Over and out.
Guys, if you've liked the information that you've seen so far, go ahead and check out the full-length podcast on our YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe there. It's also on all the major podcast platforms. We're constantly dropping info and more content on all the social media platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, etc. Check it out for a lot more content.